Always Irish Show. Yeah, that's right. Welcome in, welcome back, folks, to a Notre Dame must beat Indiana in this playoff game edition of the Always Irish Show. You never know how this dynamic was going to end up being once you saw these brackets or whatever. Indiana being Notre Dame's round one matchup brings with it some unique nuance and layers to this we need to get into. There's some major things hanging in the balance here. As always, thanks for being here. You can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Get a video a thumbs up. That helps John out too. Notifications on that way you don't miss nothing. Twitter, search bar Always Irish, Rat, Always Irishing. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want it. You can get it if you don't want to see my face. Call-in lines, 312-900-8815. Dial it up. Tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Notre Dame Fighting Irish brought to you by SI. We got an article for you every single day. Multiple articles. Go check it out. Good staff there. Everybody has their own little special way, specialty things they write about. It's a beautiful thing over there. Patreon.com/Always Irish. Former captain Mike Goolsby. State championship winning high school coach Jared Clark. Former Notre Damer as well, obviously. Promo code NDCFP at the checkout. We're doing discounts for the playoff run to get as many people in as we can behind the scenes. Let's do it. All right, you guys. Now that the immediacy of the way the final brackets have shaped out and everything is kind of settling down, now that immediate realization of what it's all going to look like is starting to go down, and you had a chance to marinate on it, I'm starting to think of this a little differently. There is unique pressure on Notre Dame now. They wouldn't be there if it was some other team or whatever. The fact that it's Indiana, this Indiana team, there is some unique pressure on Notre Dame. Now, maybe that matters to you. Maybe that doesn't matter to you. Maybe you just think that after this team having to win every game since week 2, they're used to pressure and it shouldn't matter. Whatever. I'm just acknowledging what's in the room. You cannot allow a second team to beat you at your house to log the biggest win in program history at your expense. That's what's on the line here. You can't do that 2 times in a year. There is no way that you could do that and then claim this year's like a success. Like, it's just, you can't do it. So it's just, you got to hold that state line of being like the football team in Indiana or whatever. You can't let Signetti in a basketball school come in here and then just like, this is, listen, here's what it is, you guys. Here's what it is. Here's what it is. I keep saying some Notre Dame coach and some group of Notre Dame players has got to be the ones to start changing the narrative around Notre Dame. The most Notre Damiest thing that could possibly happen in my existence in the last 30 years of us not winning a major bowl that matters, the most Notre Damiest outcome is that Indiana beats you at your place and you've given up at home 2 program-defining wins that are the biggest wins in program's history, like to bookend the season, the first home game and the last. You just can't. That is the most old school in my 30, 40 years Notre Damiest thing that could happen. I need this coaching staff and this Notre Dame team and group of players to be mature enough to not let that happen and win this football game. You cannot allow 2 of the biggest wins in they would be each Northern's and Indiana's biggest wins in program. You can't allow it and be taken serious about football. Those things don't align. You can't allow that twice and want to be taken serious at football. This is immense pressure, well above and beyond just a playoff game, I think. Signetti's going to have them ready. They're going to be tough, whatever. Like they're not going to roll over. They're going to want to play you, and you got to beat them. And you're more than capable of doing so. That's the other thing. I've spoken about it before. With this bracket, I think it's a favorable physical round 1 matchup for Notre Dame, but a tough round 2-1. The toughest round 2-1. You could argue it's between Oregon and Georgia, whatever. But that's how I see it. Favorable round 1 physical matchup for Notre Dame, but the toughest probably round 2 with Georgia. And Georgia's flawed, though. Maybe not going to have their quarterback. Like, they have all that, the talent in the world. We all know that, but they have looked vulnerable this year. Talent alone doesn't win these games. Also, something else to keep in mind about Georgia is this coaching staff's been there before, and now they have a couple weeks to sit there and look at film and get ready for somebody and prep for somebody. Georgia's going to do a good job of that because they've been in these moments before. Something else to think about. So, listen, I mean, they're going to play this whole thing up and go in there and try and claim the crown of football in Indiana. That's what they're going to do, and you got to stop it. Notre Dame's got a great chance, man, to get this win and move on to the next round of whatever. Everybody's going to be watching. That's the other thing, too. You're the only game in town. You're the only game on TV. You're getting all the attention. It's all going to be about your game. You're opening up the playoff. They're going to build up this Indiana in-state rivalry stuff. Like, it's all, you have full attention. You have full attention. You have everybody's full attention. And so everybody's watching you, and you got to take care of business, man. This is a unique kind of pressure, but show us that you're going to be different than the last 30 years of Notre Dame teams in a big postseason moment that fell short and embarrassed us. Because that's what it'd be if you lose this one and allow 2 of these wins in a year at your place. Embarrassing. You can't do it. Can't have it. I'm sorry. So there's a lot on the line here besides just Notre Dame advancing or not. So I don't know, but you look at this. Scoring offenses, Notre Dame number 2, or Indiana number 2, Notre Dame number 3. Scoring defenses, Notre Dame number 3, Indiana number 6. You see those numbers? I mean, you're there. You're there. Here's what's interesting about it. You're there within a few spots of each other, offensively and defensively. And both fan groups are probably going to say, yeah, but their schedule, they didn't play that many good teams. And it's probably true for both. Right? Like, when this came up on the morning chat, people are going, yeah, but Indiana did. I'm not that impressed with who they played to get these rankings. And I'm like, well, a lot of people aren't impressed with who Notre Dame played to get these rankings. So I don't know. As for the weather, they like to throw it around more than Notre Dame does. So maybe even if it isn't cold, but you get a late December breeze through the air, maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. All I know is you cannot get punked by a basketball school at your place, writing 30 years of failure in these type of moments and claim progress. You can't. You must win this football game. You must win this football game. And if you do, then you got to play Georgia, and you play as free as can be because nobody's going to be picking you. A lot of people aren't going to be picking you. Some people will. But Georgia will be the favorite. All the SEC people will pile on, and they can't wait for Notre Dame to get exposed against Georgia, all this stuff. It is all teed up there for you to piss a bunch of people off, play them really good, and win a ball game. Everybody watching. A lot of people figuring little old Notre Dame in the North can hang with the Georgia roster, and then you go out there and you play your heart out free as could be, and you see where the chips fall. Something else to consider. I do see some people liking Notre Dame's on the Notre Dame side, liking Notre Dame's chances against Georgia. There's a physical toll that comes with playing Georgia you must consider as well. That's another potential negative to seeing them in round 2 is. Then you got to turn around and go play again, and there is going to be more of a physical toll playing them than an Arizona State or a Boise or something in the second round. That's for sure. But make no mistake about it, you got to beat Indiana before you worry about any of that. And so here's the thing, man. The biggest mistake Notre Dame could do as far as the program or the writers or the fans or anything is get all wrapped up about a Georgia matchup before you beat Indiana. Telling you. It's almost like the committee wanted to set the stage for Notre Dame to fail in the most spectacular way. But they set the stage in a way where, like, nobody could really call them out or complain for it. They could be like, what do you guys want? Notre Dame went 11-1. They got a hosting seed. You like, that's more than fair, like whatever. So they're covered because they could say that and justify it. But man, if they didn't set it up on a silver platter for some bad to happen, I'm telling you, my Notre Dame history and my existence signifies Notre Dame will fail in this moment, embarrass themselves, get the crown of Indiana football stolen by a basketball school. Let this happen and hand two program defining, the best wins in each of these programs' history at your place. That is what old Notre Dame would do. I need this modern version of Notre Dame, this coaching, this head coach and this staff and this group of players need to be the ones to change this. But it's right out there how Notre Dame this is. You cannot allow it to happen. We also debated on the morning show, well, even if Notre Dame beats Indiana, they're not going to get that much credit because how much people don't really value Indiana that much, whatever. People on Twitter may not credit Notre Dame that much, but you're moving on to the next round, so who really cares? Right? Like, yeah, people on Twitter are going to say that, but like their team's not even in the tournament and you're advanced to the second round, so who really cares? And maybe if you beat Georgia, you'll get more national attention. I don't know how you couldn't. Or if the quarterback's still hurt, then it's going to be, oh, you needed the quarterback hurt to do this, even though he looked better than the starter for most of the game the other day. Whatever. All I'm saying is there's some interesting dynamics and layers woven into this scenario now that wouldn't exist if the opponent was anybody else other than Indiana. It just adds some layers here that add kind of the do or die nature of this matchup that wouldn't exist if it was like Arizona. I don't know, somebody else you don't, that it's just not Indiana with these weird circumstances. And you're not getting any of that cold weather bump with the warm weather team coming up. Forget that. So it's just, this is interesting. This is not what a lot of people were probably picturing. So I don't know. I want to know what you guys think, but you cannot allow two of these program defining once in a generation wins in the same season at your place. And you can't. You cannot. I understand this team fought back and won all these games in a row, but it can't end with another one of those embarrassments. And that's what it would be. Even against a good Indiana team, it would be an embarrassment if you let this happen. This is a different kind of pressure. The good news is Notre Dame's responded well to pressure this year. Getting ready for game one, they did a good job. And then backs against the wall from game two on, they haven't lost in most of the games and not been competitive. So they've done it. You want to talk about pressure? Maybe I should just shut up about it. They don't seem to mind it. But we do need to acknowledge with it being Indiana, there is a different level to this. There are different things in the mix now you got to think about that wouldn't exist if this was another team. So I want to know what you guys think about this. Did Notre Dame get a fair draw? Did the committee stick it to Notre Dame? Is this just what happens when you lose to Northern and you're an independent? You can't expect the 5 or the 6? Is this just what happens? Is it 12-0 Notre Dame team a 5 or a 6? Or does that depend who's ahead of them and what they look like? Like, there's a lot of questions here. This is the beautiful thing about this, you guys, is this is all new science. This is all new math. No one knows what any of this was going to look or feel like. This is all new territory. It's all new territory. Nobody knows. So it's wild to see how this thing grows and changes and what it feels like and looks like. So let me know what you think about all this. I'll see you guys. Don't forget to check out the merchandise. The link is in the description. You can browse and carouse all the different Always Irish gear. Make sure you head over there and get something for the next tailgate. Thanks for being here.